Clark-Wilson. I'm Principal Researcher at the UCL EDUCATE programme, and I will be speaking on the main stage on day one of the conference on the theme of the Fourth Industrial Revolution and its implications for education. So I lead the research team of the UCL EDUCATE programme, and this is a 3-year programme which has been funded by European Regional Development Funds into London through our Greater London Authority, with the one mission to support the educational technology sector as business sector to grow in London. And the reason we went in with this particular theme is that small and medium-sized enterprises rarely have access to resources to help them to research how they will know that the products they're building out are going to work. So we work with enthusiastic EdTech entrepreneurs to teach them research skills, support them and mentor them through thinking about how they will know if and when their technology works. And this inevitably involves them getting involved with co-design with learners, teachers, parents. Our educational technology spans the age range from 0 to 99. We have digital talking feeding spoons through to adaptations of Alexa for the elderly. So educational technology for us is way beyond only school and college educational technology, and everybody can learn to become more research minded about the way that you build that out. At the end of the day, we want better EdTech for better learning. Well, we did wait quite a long time for it, so it was very welcome when it finally arrived. And I think what was positive about it was it took account of the needs of the industry, what EdTech businesses needed to be in place to help them to grow, what the schools and colleges needed to think about in terms of adopting new technologies. And there was a strand of research in there thinking about, how do we know when the educational technology is fit for purpose? The most important thing about any research or learning about educational technologies is it does take time, sometimes for the effects to be seen, and it takes time for schools and institutions to really implement them. It's not an easy overnight thing. So most of the time the policy documents and the strategies and challenges that arise from it don't have quite the length of time needed to really be able to see such effects. But it's still welcome. It's still the attention on what's needed is really welcome. It's absolutely crucial that the three communities that build the EdTech, the communities that use the EdTech, and the community of people who know how to understand if the EdTech workings or not work together on this. It's really about co-design and partnering to understand best we can when educational technology works best, with whom, over what timelines, for what goals. It really does need a collective effort. It's the million-dollar question, which tech is right and when. And the challenge is it's actually really difficult to design any educational technology that works in every single circumstance. So what tends to happen is the developers have a good go at their design, but it's really for the school, college community to test it locally. And the way that has worked well over many, many years is really getting teachers in classrooms, lecturers together to plan how they're going to pilot that technology. Even if they've already bought it, they still have to have a first go at it. And the more systematic that is, if you really think through what you're trying to achieve, how you'll know if you've achieved it, and feed that back within your community, that's really at the heart of understanding how to implement. You might think it's important to have a dedicated specialist in your school, someone who really oversees the IT implementations. That's not always possible in small schools, but everyone can become more research minded about what they do, which just means reflecting a little bit on the decisions you're making, why you're making those decisions. And I think that's important so we understand when to switch off technologies that aren't working and save schools money and time and resource, as it is about looking for new technologies. When we go into most schools, there's a huge server taken up with technologies that have been bought over many, many years. And when you actually quiz down and drill on, you know, who actually made that decision and whether that technology is still being used, very often it's been long forgotten. And that's always going to be the way, because the technology will keep changing. So we just have to make the best decisions we can based on the evidence we get from when we use it. I've been around in educational technology for over 30 years, and what I've noticed is that, you know, although the technology keeps moving on, the humans haven't changed that much. We all need time to take up new technologies. We need time to play in a low-risk environment with them, get familiar with them. And if we don't actually adopt them into our personal practices, either in our day-to-day life or in our professional lives, they rarely hang around in the classrooms. And I think that's the thing that I've learned the most is that, you know, actually you choose a few technologies, you become pretty expert in them, and you stick with them until something better comes along, and you support those around you to do the same, is in the long run a far better strategy than flitting from one shiny new thing to the next shiny new thing, never actually embedding any of them into our day-to-day practice or classroom use. So I think it's about choose carefully, put a bit of time and energy in, and then only move on when you really can justify that something better has come along. We've always had to cope with new technologies. The pace seems to be a lot faster right now because the servers have more capacity, we can deal with more data, we've got greater connectivity. So we are in the age of the fourth industrial revolution, and data is going to be a really important part of that currency. So if you are in a school and you're a lecturer or a teacher preparing children for jobs that we don't even know exist yet, it's extremely hard to know what are the sorts of qualities, what are the sorts of skills that children will need now to be prepared for that life. And it does come down to 21st century skills, collaboration, teamwork, critical thinking, problem solving, the things that humans do best and that machines take a long time to learn how to do, if they ever actually do. So one of the projects that we've been involved in is the Coalition for Careers Education, which is actually working with industry partners to provide teachers with insights into the sorts of jobs that the students they're teaching now might be considering into the future. And there's no doubt that we're going to need the data scientists, we're going to need people who can really work beyond the very manual sort of jobs that are around now. And those are skills that we definitely could develop in the school and college education system. So I'm very hopeful. It's interesting in that children with special educational needs and disabilities can often be disenfranchised by technologies because, you know, if you want to sell a big tech, you're going to sell to the biggest possible market. But there are some really exciting and innovative ideas coming through the sector. For example, looking at different ways that children communicate. One of our PhD students here at the lab has just really looked at how students with autism spectrum disorders are using the tech that's available to them to communicate with teaching assistants and teachers. And it's studies like that that really do pave the way to help the technology developers understand how they can put either extra adaptations into their software or develop new products so that children really can engage fully in the opportunities that school and college education offers to them. So coming along to the Schools and Academies show for me is like my own personal professional development. I'm always really interested to see the sort of innovative educational solutions that are out there in the marketplace. And of course, when you get the insights from the industry experts, from our school leaders, who are really dealing with the day-to-day challenges of our current education system, it's impossible to come away without having learned something.
you.